You said 53 seats.
That's what the Cook Political Report, I believe, said are, viable, can swing one direction or the other. Basically 90% or 88% or whatever it is of the seats are already Republican or Democrat pretty solidly.
We should set a GOP target for this midterm election. Anything less than 50 seats is unacceptable.
We are 5 months and a day away from the midterms. Where do we sit at 5 months and a day? We are in right now a period in time when Joe Biden's regime is starting to throw up Hail Marys, when the Democrats are starting to desperately try and score touchdowns without any basis behind them. That's really what Thursday is. We'll talk some more about Thursday, I'm sure, and then react to it for certain on Friday when this primetime January 6th hearing occurs. But here is what the conversation was on CNN as right now, as we speak, Republicans are in the best position they have been in the midterms in over 80 years, going all the way back, I believe, to 1938. Listen to CNN's Harry Enton put this into context.
The Republican 2-point lead on the generic congressional ballot is the best position for Republicans at this point in any midterm cycle in over 80 years. It beats 2010 when Republicans were up a point. It beats 2014, 2002, 1998, where Democrats led by a point. And in all of those 4 prior examples that make this list of the top 5, look at that. Who won a majority? It was the Republicans who won a majority. My estimate for the 2023 House makeup, if the election were held today, which again, it isn't, we still have 5 months from tomorrow, would be Republicans 236 seats to 241 seats, Democrats 194 to 199.
That would be a monumental resetting of the House of Representatives. We don't know exactly how it would break in the Senate, but if Republicans are winning that big, it would be hard-pressed, you would think, for Republicans not to also take the Senate. Buck, I was reading the Cook Political Report because I'm a nerd, and they said there's basically 53 seats that are in any way winnable by one party or the other, right? There's 435 House seats. 53 of them, after redistricting, according to the Cook Political Report, are actually up in the mix. What do you think's going to happen? And are you with me that we're at Hail Mary time right now for Democrats, where they're trying to distract from baby formula shortages, from inflation, from gas prices about to go over $5 a gallon for the first time ever in this country? Does it feel Hail Mary time to you?
Absolutely. I mean, this is why we're going to be talking to you a little bit about the January 6th prime time,
yes,
whatever it is they're planning in a couple of days. They're bringing in a former, a Today Show or one of those producers to make it really pop on the screen. It's all theatrics. It's literally theatrics. I mean, they're just doing this to try to create spectacle to distract from exactly what you're talking about. And one of our duties here, I think, is always to make sure that we present at least the best argument that the other side has in any debate, right? What are they offering up here? What are they saying where if you get into an argument with, your neighbor Bob or Bill or whatever, over the grill in the backyard, what's he going to say as a Democrat? And what's the argument going to be? The Biden regime right now does not have a compelling argument, period, full stop. All they have is what we've been seeing, which is misdirection, outright lying, distraction techniques with the January 6th insurrection. Can you imagine, by the way? Imagine what they're really saying. And there's so many ways that anyone who calls it an insurrection is lying to you or is not very smart. I mean, that's a baseline theory that I've had all along here. Mostly the people on CNN and others are lying about it, Clay. They know it's not an insurrection. A bunch of unarmed people, mostly guilty of parading in a government building, can overthrow the United States government with its millions of employees, with its multi-trillion dollars of spending, with its 16 or now 17, I guess, intelligence agencies, with the most powerful military on the planet. A bunch of grandmas taking selfies inside the Capitol is going to people say, what about the ones who attacked the cops? Yeah, that was bad. They should go to prison. But, if you're a leftist, and you just probably saw this, Clay, these two lawyers in Brooklyn from the 2020 George Floyd riots, Collinford Mattis and Aruj Rahman, were able to pull their plea deal. Federal prosecutors said, it's okay. These are the ones who firebombed a police car during the George Floyd
Molotov
riot.
cocktail, right?
Molotov cocktail. And actual people say it's not a weapon of war. No, actually, it is. It's from the Winter War when the Finns were fighting against the Soviets, and Molotov was the Soviet foreign minister, and so the Molotov cocktail was used to throw at Russian armor or Soviet armor. They were able to pull their previous plea deal, Clay. This is quite a sweetheart situation, and plead to lesser. So they said, yeah, we're guilty. We'll take the plea deal. And now that people aren't paying attention, it's, well, we'll take a plea to a lesser. I just bring this up because you have people for nonviolent crimes in solitary confinement for a year for January 6th. Still. I mean, so we see all this and you say, what's really going on in this country right now? What are the people in charge doing to reinforce your faith in the government? What's the media doing to make any of us believe that the Democrat corporate media has even a hint of ethics? And the answer is they got nothing, Clay. They got nothing.
Yeah, I think you're right. And this is why I wanted to play this cut, too, because I saw it and I said, this is so transparent what they are trying to do. The January 6th hearing, which is going to take place on Thursday. And as we told you, the timing on this is really bad in that most people aren't paying attention. But also, the next morning are going to get the latest inflation numbers. So whatever legs you thought were going to exist from your January 6th big public hearing in prime time, the next morning you are going to find out how bad things are as it relates to inflation. And by the way, I don't think inflation is going to have come down very much. And certainly everybody out there driving around right now listening to us, looking at the different gas prices as they're driving down the road, as they tick closer and closer to $5 a gallon, is not feeling that way. But here's NBC's one of their commentators saying they need to make everybody focus on the January 6th investigation and ignore gas prices and baby formula shortages. I don't know. That doesn't seem like a very easy thing to get Americans to shift their notice on. Are you going to pay attention to something that happened 18 months ago that has no impact on your life right now? Or are you going to pay attention to the fact that you can't find baby formula to feed your baby and that gas prices are at an all-time high, just about to go over $5? But this is the Jedi mind trick that Democrats are trying right now by focusing on January 6th. Listen.
So many things that people are juggling between gas prices and inflation, baby formula, abortion, and the shootings that are happening. These lawmakers are going to try to now have a narrative to focus the country's attention to say, look at this thing. Do not turn away and understand that while all those other things are really, really important, the foundation of our country, what makes our country function, is the democracy that we have to protect. And they're going to have to do that in the face of Republicans who are lying still about the 2020 election.
This is not going to work, Buck. I mean, this is one of the all-time ridiculous arguments to make. Whatever your political leanings are, the price of gas impacts you way more right now than anything that happened on January 6th.
These emotional impact issues that they're talking about, whether it's January 6th or Roe v. Wade, the focus on gun control right now, that's not gonna get it done in any contested election. My only, at least in my opinion, and also on the Roe v. Wade issue, what we've already seen is it didn't move the needle. It basically stayed constant even when the Supreme Court, we believe, showed its hand that Roe is likely to be overturned, and that's going to happen within a matter of a few weeks now. That decision will come down. You're also hearing cries about or calls for gun control at a time when you're going to see the Supreme Court, I believe, slap down New York City's absurd and unconstitutional gun licensing regime. So that's going to take the wind out of the sails there a little bit. And Clay, my hesitation with all this is just, you'll remember this. Probably give me a play-by-play if I ask you for it, because I did used to watch the NFL, and there was a Giants 49ers game that maybe like a decade ago. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where the Giants were up so much, and you thought it was over, and you just watched for 2 quarters as they were systematically dismantled and lost. I think it was one of the biggest leads lost in a playoff game of all time.
Yes.
I just don't want
That's where you feel like we are right now.
I don't want us being complacent. You said 53 seats
That's what the Cook Political Report, I believe, said are, viable, can swing one direction or the other. Basically 90% or 88% or whatever it is of the seats are already Republican or Democrat pretty solidly.
We should set a GOP target for this midterm election. Anything less than 50 seats is unacceptable.
That is I think that is my opinion, wildly optimistic number.
Of course it is.
Only for this reason.
What am I going to say?
Only for this reason, because everyone forgets that the Republicans had a pretty good run in 2020, right? And so they won back a decent number of seats that they would have won back in a landslide election. I would set the over-under at 30. That's where I would put the number.
I'm saying we target 50, and maybe
Where would
we
you
don't
put
all have
the
to do
over-under?
push-ups in the gymnasium after practice if it's 30 to 40.